Namaste children. Hope you all have enjoyed Sankranti holidays. Let's be back to learning. We have completed part 1 and part 2 of the lesson What Happened to the Reptiles. Before we start part 3, let us revise part 1 and part 2. In part 1 and part 2 children, a boy named Prem was a native of a village far from Pambupatti. Due to communal rights in his village, he left his village and reached Pambupatti. He was given shelter by an old man, and Prem called him as grandfather. One day, grandfather narrated a story, and the people of Pambupatti village, they lived in peace and harmony. And this grandfather, he narrated a story to Prem. That why did he narrate a story to Prem, children? Yes, he narrated a story to Prem so that he would realize the difference between his native village and Pambupatti village, to know and also to know the reason behind it. Now let us know that particular story, which is narrated by grandfather. Long ago, there were only reptiles in Pambupatti forest. The leader of the forest was Makara, a crocodile. Makara was the president, and he conducted meeting every month. This Makara misused his power and ordered tortoises to leave the forest, as they would get lot of space and food for them. So for that sake, he told these tortoises to leave the forest. Later, when tortoises have left the forest filled with foul smell. Later, in the next meeting, he drove away the other reptiles, that is snakes. Why did he drove away these snakes? Because these snakes are slimy and unpleasant, and also they make hissing sound, which is not liked by this crocodile Makara. And the snakes also, he ordered snakes to leave the forest. So even snakes also left the forest. Now, when snakes and tortoises left the forest, how was the forest? And how did Makara decide later about the other animals or other reptiles? Did this Makara or the other reptiles which are there in the forest, whether they faced any problem in the absence of their fellow reptiles? Now let us read this lesson, that is part 3 of the lesson, What Happened to the Reptiles. So before we read the lesson, here we have the main points, children. Now see the first point. The lizards were also ordered to leave, and the whole forest now belonged to Makara and his group. So now in the coming this part 3, we will come to know that even Makara has ordered the lizards to leave the forest. The crocodiles faced unforeseen problems in the absence of their fellow reptiles. They soon realized that their happiness lay in their fellow creatures' happiness and homecoming. So now we will read the part 3, children. A few weeks passed, and the animals of the forest looked tired and fed up. The rats, now that there were no snakes to eat them, the rats had taken over the forest, and they were having a wonderful time. They were everywhere, on the trees, in the grass, in the bushes, on the ground. They ate up the eggs of the lizards and crocodiles. There would be no babies that year. Makara's own nest of eggs had been chewed up. So now here what has happened? Some weeks passed off, and these animals of the forest, they were very tired and they were fed up. Fed up of which animal? That is rats. And these rats, as there were no snakes, so the rats increased. There were millions of rats there, and these rats had taken over the forest. So they had a whole grip on the forest. Okay, and these rats had a wonderful time, and they were seen everywhere, that is on the trees, in the grass, in the bushes, on the ground, everywhere they were seen. And these rats had eaten up the eggs of the lizards, crocodiles, even Makara's own nest eggs were also chewed up. Chewed up means, children, beaten up by these rats. Then Makara had a great idea. He called a meeting of the crocodiles and said, wouldn't it be wonderful if the crocodiles could have the whole jungle for ourselves? Now again Makara, he had held a meeting saying that now only in this forest only we will live, that is whole of crocodiles only are going to live. So then it will be very wonderful. So this is in the meeting. Makara says, no one but us. No one but us means only crocodiles will live. So no one will live. These lizards, now just look at them. They have the strangest habits, and some of them even change color. How can we trust someone who is green one minute, red the next? Let's get rid of them. So here what happened? What did this Makara say? Makara says that these lizards, they just you look at those lizards. These lizards, one minute they'll be in one color, the other minute they'll change the color. And so when they are going to be in one minute one color, the other minute another color, how can we trust those lizards? And also these lizards have that is, they have the strangest habit, that is the most funny habit they have. So this is said by whom, children? Yes, Makara says. By now the crocodiles were really scared of Makara, so they clapped and cheered. Makara was pleased. The lizards left the forest, some with their babies on their backs. So now what happened? The other reptiles, the other animals, they were unable to open their mouth. So what they were very much scared of, they were very much afraid of Makara. Okay, so Makara is deciding all the things, isn't it, children? So first he had made tortoises to leave, then the snakes, then the lizards. So now, so when he had decided, everyone, they clapped, saying they agreed to what Makara, their president, said. So they agreed to it. And so these lizards have to leave the forest with their babies on their back. They left the forest. By now, the crocodiles were really scared of Makara. Okay, so that we have completed, children. Okay, so they clapped and cheered. Makara was pleased. The lizards left the forest, some with their babies on their back. But now, when life should have been wonderful for the crocodiles of Pampapatti, all kinds of awful things began to happen. To begin with, the rats grew bolder by the day. They became so fearless that they jumped and turned somersaults on the crocodile's back. And there were too many frogs. They seemed to be growing larger, and there was no one to eat them but the crocodiles. Okay, but the crocodiles. These huge frogs began to eat the baby crocodiles and the insects. Now that the lizards were gone, there were millions of them growing bigger and nastier by the day. So what happened later? By now, when life should have been wonderful, so now all the other reptiles, they have left the forest. That is tortoises, snakes and lizards. They have left it. Now who are there in the forest? Only this Makara, or only these crocodiles. Okay, crocodiles. So they should have a wonderful time, excellent time, or comfortable time they should have. Okay, so but what happened? All kinds of awful things happened. So awful means fearful things have happened. So what are those fearful things which have happened to these crocodiles? That is, first let us begin with the rats. So these rats, they grew bolder. Bolder means they are fearless. So day by day they have become fearless, children. And what they have done, they turned somersaults on the crocodile's back. So on the crocodile's back, they turned heel over head. Okay, so that is somersaults. And there were too many frogs also, and those frogs they are growing larger and larger, and what they are doing, they are eating the babies of crocodiles. And the huge frogs, they ate the babies of crocodiles. Okay, and now all the insects, as lizards are not there, so insects are day by day they are increasing. So there are millions of insects, and they are they are troubling these crocodiles. Okay, so that these insects have become nastier means troublesome day by day. Okay, it was a terrible time for the crocodiles. They couldn't understand what had happened to their happy forest home. So now these crocodiles, only crocodiles are there, so they were unable to understand what actually has happened to them. So actually, therefore, they should be very happy. So that actually at the beginning it was a happy forest home. So now what happened? They are in trouble. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next page, children. Yes. Then one day, a squeaky little voice pipped up at one of their meetings. We know why the forest has gone crazy, don't we? So now again this crocodile has kept a meeting, isn't it? So when the crocodile has kept a meeting, so one little voice has pipped out. So squeaky means a high-pitched voice has come out of the meeting. So what it say? We know why the forest has gone crazy, why the forest has gone mad, don't we? So we all know why it has happened like that. Okay. Suddenly everyone was silent. They looked at Makara fearfully, but to their surprise, he looked nervous. He shook a rat of his tail and asked the small crocodile, why, little fellow? It all began with a thought. Okay, so now what happened? Everyone was silent in the forest. Okay, everyone. They were all the crocodiles were quiet, and they looked at Makara. Okay, very fearfully, very afraid. So when they looked at Makara, to their surprise, what they have seen Makara. He was nervous. And what did he do? He shook a rat of his tail. So he threw off a rat of his tail. So with the tail, he had got hold of the tail of the rat, and then he threw it off. Okay, and asked a small crocodile. He asked, why little? So what did he ask a small crocodile? Why little fellow? It all began with a thought. Okay, so thought here, it refers to wrongful act. So it all began with a wrongful act. So now, okay, said Makara. There's no need to talk so much. Makara did not want to admit he was wrong, but it didn't matter. All the crocodiles knew now that he was not all that strong or powerful or always right. Then what happened here? Makara, he said, okay. Then there's no need to talk so much. So he's not at all interested to talk more about it. So about what? That he had done a wrong act, that he had done something wrong, that he doesn't want to talk more about it. And also he did not accept that he has done wrong. So what wrong did he had done, children? He had sent the other reptiles away from the forest. So as he was strong and powerful, as he was president, so with that power he had sent the reptiles, okay, from the forest. So that was the wrong thing which he had done. So all the crocodiles, now they came to know that this Makara is not strong, not powerful, and also not always right. They sent urgent messages all over the place for the tortoises, snakes, and lizards to come back to Pampupatti. And what a great day it was when these creatures came back, family after family, with their little ones on their backs or straggling behind, shouting at their parents to wait for them. Here straggling refers to children. It is who are following, they are followed. So who are following? The little ones are following their parents. So here what happened? Immediately urgent message was sent to all these reptiles who were sent back from Pampupatti forest. So who are they? Tortoises, snakes, and lizards, to them a message was sent that they can immediately come back to the forest. So that day was a very great day, children. So all these creatures, they came very happily to their home, that is the forest, that is Pambapatti forest. And family after family, they were coming. And the little ones were at the back of their parents. They were shouting at their parents to wait for them. See, sometimes it so happens that your parents, they move very fast. So when you were very small at that time, if they move very fast, if you are behind, you will ask them to wait. So like that, here these reptiles, so they were asking their parents to wait for them. Now let us see what happens. You can see here in the picture, children. Look at the picture. All they are going to the forest. So they are very happy. The snakes, tortoises, lizards, okay, all they are going to the forest. Okay, they were called back. Now the next part. In 2 months, the forest was back to normal. So in 2 months, there was no foul smell. Okay, so there were rats also. They did not trouble them. So everything was normal. They were back to normal. The rats disappeared, and the insects and the smell and the world finally went back to its familiar old self. So familiar means well known. So what happened within 2 months? The forest has come to a normal position. So the rats were not there. They have disappeared. Why the rats have disappeared, children? Yes, the snakes ate these rats. So the rats disappeared, and the insects also disappeared because lizards ate insects, and also the foul smell which was coming because tortoises ate the rotten fruits. Okay, so finally the world finally went back to its familiar old self. That means here the world refers to the forest. So that forest, it was again back to the normal old self. So normal, how it was there, like that it was. Well, Prem, said the old man, have you fallen asleep? Did my story send you off to dreamland? So now Prem is asked by this old man will ask, Prem, did you fall asleep? Or my story, did it make you to sleep? Or did it make you, or did it send you off to dreamland? So dreamland here refers to sleepy. Did it make you sleepy? I shook my head. No, grandfather, I was just thinking maybe it's time I went back to my own village because I have a story to tell them. But what if they don't listen to me? So now he shooks his head, and then he says, no, grandfather, I'm just thinking about it. So even I too want to go back to my village. I too want to tell this story to them. So I'm afraid. So I want to know if they don't listen to me. What if? So what is going to happen? They're not going to listen to me. What I should do next? We can only keep at it, my son. So very important line, children. We can only keep at it, my son. So keep at it means continue telling. So here grandfather says that the story which you want to tell to the villagers in your village, you can just keep at it. Means continuously you have to tell the story to them. Tell these stories again and again to more and more people. Some of them may laugh at you or say your stories are not true, but they may remember them one day and understand that each of us has a place in this strange, funny world of ours. So now grandfather says that you just go on telling them. Tell them the story again and again. They may laugh at you. They may think that you are a fool. They may do like that. Okay, so finally, one day they will understand, and one day they will come to know that every one of us have a place. Every one of us have a place on this strange world or on this earth. So everyone is equal, or everyone has to share this particular earth or the world. So one day they will come to know about it. So now children, it's a very interesting lesson, isn't it? So every lesson, from every lesson we learn a moral, or a lesson gives us a message, isn't it? So from this lesson, what did you understand, or what message it gives? Yes, this lesson has a moral and also it gives a message. So what is that? That is, the world, it belongs to all sorts of creatures, isn't it? So all sorts of creatures can live on this world. Okay, they have a right. Okay, together we keep a balance, and every kind of creature serves a useful purpose. So every creature is important on this earth. So everyone have to share the world. Okay, and finally it is our motto, how it should be, that is to live and let live. So live and let live is the moral of this particular lesson. So have you all understood, children? Yes. Thank you.